You know, considering how much I talk about them, you'd think that my favorite genre of video games was platformer, but actually, I'm a huge racing buff. To me, nothing is better than a speed battle for first place. Driving down the track at who knows how many miles an hour, taking corners as smooth as butter, practically gliding around large bends, the adrenaline rush when you're neck to neck with an opponent, how the smallest of mistakes can set you back from first to last, and how one gutsy move can do the exact opposite. Cars, ships, you name it, I've raced it. But when it comes to racing, there's only one king. I'm gonna make it perfectly clear. I don't just think Crash Team Racing is a good game. I don't just think Crash Team Racing is the best kart racer. I don't just think Crash Team Racing is the best racing game ever. I think that, without a doubt, Crash Team Racing is the single greatest game of all time. Better than Kirby, better than Sonic, better than Team Fortress 2, better than any game I have ever played. The way that it plays, the feeling of driving, the precise yet loose controls, the track design, the shortcuts, the adventure, the characters, the speed! Crash may have been a major part of my childhood, but CTR was my childhood. Full stop. I would play this game day and night, single player or multiplayer. This game shaped a young freelance's taste in video games. So naturally, when Activision announced that Beenox were remaking this masterpiece, my reaction made sense.
Oh my fucking god! Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! It's happening! Whoa!
However, after that, I calmed down a little and had to think. Would Nitro-Fueled be the game I want it to be? Would it be the game that fans want it to be? So I've decided to take some time and look at what Beenox have presented us with, and give my opinions on it, as well as what I want for the remake. Now, I haven't played the game yet, though I want to! Seriously, Beenox Activision! Downloadable demo, please! So I can't say anything concrete on the gameplay. But the gameplay was recently revealed, so I'll do my best with what I have. Visually, this game is superb. It's exactly what the PS1 games looked like in my head when I was a kid, except in the places where they take artistic liberties, in which it looks better. Polar Pass especially looks stunning, with all the polar bears and all the Nordic-looking houses and boats, and even the statues that sometimes breathe fire, even though they don't need to. Dingo Canyon got a similar conversion, with some of the props from Crash 3 making trackside appearances, and even a train suspended on a rickety track. Crash Cove didn't get much, just a monkey on a starting line, but it still looks great. I guess they didn't really need to add anything. It looks like they're using the Insane Trilogy models, which is no problem to me. I love the Insane Trilogy models. The character animations are especially on point, with victory animations being just the best. The carts themselves look and animate spectacularly, though I do have a problem with smoke exhaust. It doesn't look distinct enough. Half the time I couldn't tell if it had turned black or not when making power slides. And that is when players actually power slid, of course. The same could be said for the boost fire. Though I don't have a problem with the new boost fire, I can definitely see how it can look underwhelming, especially when lined up next to how over the top the originals were. In sound design, I hear a mixed bag. The music's pretty good, though sometimes the horns in Crash Cove can sound like bad MIDI. And a lot of them are out of tune. Why can't they use steel drums for that part of the song? Wasn't it that way in the originals? The voices also sound good for the most part, with two distinct oddballs, Aku Aku and Dingo Dial. Aku Aku sounds like the kind of voice used for a placeholder until they get the actual one. Not to mention they're just using the invincibility from Insane instead of remaking the tune from CTR. Which is funny since the Uka Uka one sounds really good, voice and song. Dingo Dial is similar. Is it just me, or does he sound more feral? I don't know, it just sounds more garbly and slightly higher pitched to me.
G'day, mates. Dingo Dial's the name, and Uka Uka and Cortex gave me orders to bring the crystals to them during the Ice Ages.
Other than that, I think the voice acting is on par, especially Jess Harnell, who seems to be finally settling into his role as Crash. Gameplay-wise, it looks almost 1-to-1. Turning radiuses seem fine, power sliding looks just like it did on the PS1, jumping looks a bit off, however, it's almost as if certain jumps can't be made unless one hops on them. Which didn't happen in the original, I hope they fix that. I've also heard that the reserves appear to be gone. I don't really know how the reserve system works, so I can't be the judge of that. Ultimately, until I get my hands on the game myself, please public demo, I can't say how it controls. I am glad, however, that the shortcuts like the Polar Pass shortcuts still work. Now let's talk what I want. First of all, I am all aboard the Spyro and CTR train, but I'm also for other Spyro characters making appearances, like Alora, Hunter, and Bianca. As for other Crash characters, Koala Kong, Tawna, Komodo Mo, Embryo, and Insanity Island Villager, and a lab assistant. All of these would make sense as additional racers, and would be pretty much great. And while we're on the subject, these might be controversial picks, but how about Crunch Bandicoot and Nina Cortex? They were the best thing to come out of post-Naughty Dog Crash, and as long as they'd use the Wrath of Cortex version of Crunch and the Twinsanity version of Nina, I don't think there would be a problem.
What the hell are you two doing here?
As for extra carts, which will be a thing, if you want to have more carts based off of the series, how about Crash's motorcycle or the Jeep from Wrath of Cortex? Or one based off either plane from Crash 3. If we're looking for a Spyro-themed vehicle, how about a cart that pays homage to Spyro's skateboard? Other than that, some original ideas include off-road carts, or Bareborn's pipe carts, or some professional-looking go-karts, mini-trains, the wackier the better. Or maybe a go-kart personalized for each character, such as a jungle-themed kart for Crash and a more technical lab-themed one for Cortex. As for tracks, they've dropped some hints that the Crash Nitro Kart tracks might be showing up. Not that I mind, but those tracks were really long and basically carbon copies of the CTR tracks, and even then they'd have to bring back the zero grav mechanic. But how about some tracks based off of Crash 3 levels, such as the Egyptian or prehistoric levels? And no, Papu's Pyramid is more Aztec, not Egyptian. Or how about a level that takes place in the village Papu Papu resides over? Or ones based on the Crash 2 levels that aren't completely snowed over, like Misbehaving or Crash Dash. I would also like to see if Beenox comes up with some original tracks. I don't think I've forgotten about the Spyro starting lines that surfaced on the internet. All in all, Nitro-Fueled is looking great and I can't wait to play it.